William DeHart Hubbard, born on November 25, 1903, in Walnut Hills. First of 8 children, Hubard in fact dropped the William name and went by DeHart throughout his career. When it was time for school, he went to Frederick Douglass, where he was always the fastest runner in his class. Before he finished the 8th grade at Douglass, he had a citywide reputation. He had attended and graduated from Walnut Hills High School in Cincinnati, and during his stay there, he continued to be a star. In his senior year at Walnut Hills, he was turning in time, being competitive with college track champions. They had graduated with honors from the University of Michigan in 1927, where he was a 3-time National Collegiate Athletic Association champion. Upon college graduation, he accepted a position as the supervisor of the Department of Colored Work for the Cincinnati Public Recreation Commission. He remained in this position until 1941 before accepting a job as the manager of Valley Homes, a public housing project in Cincinnati. In 1942, he moved to Cleveland, Ohio, where he served as a race relation advisor for the Federal Housing Authority. In 1985, he married Sarah at the age of 22, had 6 children, and retired in 1969. The head track coach of the University of Michigan, Steve Farrell, was widely respected. He had been a professional runner during the 1890s, and he understood the demands of competing at an elite level. When they had arrived at Michigan in 1921, Farrell immediately barred him from other sports and had him focus only on jumping events. DeHart started jumping past 25 feet, flirting with the world record, which stood at 25 feet, 23 over 4 in, which is 7.69 meters in 1921, and he had qualified for the Paris game in the long jump and triple jump. On 16 June 1924, the SS America departed from Hoboken, New Jersey, with more than 350 athletes, coaches, trainers, and officials aboard, heading for France. After reaching Paris, DeHart and most of the squad ended up at the Chateau in Rocancourt near Versailles. During training at the Olympic Stadium, some runners complained about the soft track surface and the cupping that was created by their feet sinking down too much. At the long jump pit, Hubard noticed something odd. The takeoff board was backwards. The worn-out curved edge was facing the pit and the creep's edge was now pointing at the outlets. Observers watched DeHart walk through his paces, practicing height, not distance. He was the center of attraction for a number of French enthusiasts as they were impressed by his blazing quick start and chiseled calves. The night before the long jump competition, DeHart was staying at the Olympic Village in Columbus, working on a picture puzzle to relax when 2 men burst into the hall with shocking news. While competing in the pentathlon, fellow American Robert Lee Gender had just broken the long jump world record with a leap of 25 feet, 6 in, which is 7.76 meters. Hubard was stunned. The world record was his obsession and everyone knew it. His color turned white. He tried to appear unconcerned but made a poor job of it. Sleep was impossible and he wasn't in the best shape the next day as a result. On the beautiful afternoon of Tuesday, 8th July 1924, the stands were full of American fans cheering their boys. On the field, more than 30 long jumpers gathered, representing 21 countries. From his first jump, DeHart didn't want to simply qualify for the finals. He wanted to erase Lee Gender, who only competed in the pentathlon in Paris, from his mind. He stood at the start of the runway, wearing thin sprinter spikes with sponge rubber on the heels instead of jumping shoes that he felt were too bulky and stiff. DeHart was unaware of a problem. The soft cinder surface had developed a small hollow of about a quarter or half inch in front of the takeoff board. With the crowd watching, he charged down the track with the record in sight. His right heel slammed against the exposed hard edge of the board at full speed. The jump was a foul and he could barely walk. He immediately had the thought of the jinx that had always trained Negroes in the Olympics. Over the years, so many before him had come close to glory before suffering an injury. In the 1920 Antwerp Olympics, fellow American long jumper Saul Butler was favored but suffered a pulled leg muscle and had to be carried off the field. Now Hubard was fearful. The same thing was about to happen to him. His second jump was the worst. He fell backward upon landing for the first time in his career, losing more than a foot. He couldn't make any more attempts to qualify for the final and was carried away. The pain was becoming unbearable. While the trainers worked on his injured heel and wrapped it, DeHart discovered he had poorly made it through the finals in 4th place. Before the final, DeHart was limping around the field with crutches. Robertson was on the verge of taking him off the team, but he begged for a chance and Robertson didn't have the heart to keep him out. Since DeHart couldn't put pressure on his heels, he would have to jump using only his toes. For his final jump, DeHart shot down the cinder runway, kicked through the air and landed perfectly. He cleared 24 feet 6 in, which is 7.47 meters, nowhere close to legendary or his own standard, but good enough to win John Taylor, another black American athlete who had won team gold at the 1808 Olympics in the medley relay. Robertson was shocked by DeHart's victory and felt it wasn't possible to jump so far without pushing off the hill. Robertson thought that some mistake was made in the distance. He went up to the judges and asked them if the jump was right, which they assured him that it was. He spent the rest of the Olympics on crutches and withdrew from the triple jump. The injury lingered for another year. After the Olympics, Hubbard entered his athletic prime. He tied multiple world records in sprint events. In his last meet for the University of Michigan in 1925, he finally achieved his ultimate goal with a new world record in the long jump by jumping 25 feet 107 over 8 in, which is 7.89 meters. It marked the 10th time DeHart had jumped over 25 feet. No other athlete had done it more than once. In 1927, he became the first man to jump over 26 feet, but the AAU controversially refused to certify it because the meet referee estimated the sand was an inch too low. The jump wouldn't be surpassed until Jesse Owens leaped out to 26 feet 8 in, which is 8.13 meters in 1935. Some months later, DeHart severely injured in his ankle in a volleyball match, which ended his chances of repeating at the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics. He would never have another chance at an Olympic medal. During the 1920s and 1930s, DeHart worked for the Cincinnati Recreation Department and also founded the Cincinnati Tigers Negro baseball team and starred in other sports. DeHart later joined the Federal Housing Administration in Cleveland and worked with Jesse Owens and other former Allied black athletes. He died in Cleveland at the age of 72 on June 23, 1967. Hubbard was posthumously inducted into the University of Michigan Hall of Honor in 1979. He was part of the second class inducted into the Hall of Honors.